Next panel discussions titled Designing Identity, Luxury Meets Comfort, Elevating Executive Workspaces for Maximum Efficiency. So I will just give you a bit of an overview of today's topic and obviously what we are trying to achieve. Many research show that luxurious, comfortable workspaces increase executive productivity by 25% and job satisfaction by 40%. This panel will delve into the fusion of opulence and practicality in high-level office environments, and specifically to this region. We will also discuss how blending top-tier aesthetics with ergonomic comfort can enhance decision-making, creativity, and overall performance in executive roles. You will also gain insights into designing spaces that reflect their status and support their well-being and efficiency. So hopefully our key takeaways will be that together we all understand how integrated luxury and comfort in executive offices can boost productivity, learn design strategies that improve job satisfaction and well-being for top-tier professionals. And all of these insights we'll get from amazing speakers and panelists, which I have a pleasure to introduce. So let's invite to the stage Iman Abul-Jadea, founder of In Detail Design. Iman, welcome on board. Yes, that's fine. Joachim Deram, founder of SBID, Swiss Bureau Interior Design. Joachim, welcome on board. You can sit there. Yes, here it's fine. Perfect. Mansi Tiwari, Associate Director at AID. Welcome on board, Mansi. And Shahzad Azam, founder and Chief Operating Officer at AIDA International Design Associates. Shahzad, welcome on board. It's truly a pleasure to have all of you with us. And before we kickstart, I'm asking all of our panelists, this is obviously the first of many, I hope, workspace summits that we're organizing here in Riyadh. And obviously, you know, we always talk about the importance of bringing the community together and having these discussions. But for me, most important is how do you think it's important to have these, I would say, micro-niche discussions where we're really focusing on the future of work and offices right now, today in Riyadh. So, Joachim, I can start with you.
Yeah, I don't think it's micro-niche. It's very important topics. Every topics that you have raised this yesterday, today, and tomorrow are very important. And all these discussions are shared with super good designers. And I don't think it's micro-niche. It's very important. And I think the experience of all of us has to be shared with everyone from this industry.
Okay, perfect. Iman, from your side.
Yeah, I think it's very important, of course, with all the shifting dynamics of working and how people actually work now. It's very important for us as designers to keep up to date and to see the transformation happening into office spaces.
Perfect. Mansi.
I think it's really important because we all have so many ideas and so many thoughts, and it's great to bring focus into something important, something small, and have new sparks, newer conversations, challenging conversations, controversial conversations, and enlightening conversations in more smaller settings.
Yeah, perfect. Shahzad, from your
Hi,
side.
thank you. I just about heard you because I can't hear you from here. But like some of the panelists said, for us, every project has to be different, has to stand up alone, you know. It has to be something that's driven by a narrative, something that has a legacy about it which belongs to the company you're working for, and something that's unique. In post, kind of COVID era, everything became much more digital. The platform became much more digital. So we're almost like in this Instagrammable moment, of the projects, and they have to capture these wow moments. And there was a discussion yesterday with Gen Z, one of our members, and Gen Z are so demanding, in workplace spaces. So you have to find ways of engaging this younger generation and keep them occupied. It's not the old rows of workspace and things like that. Workspace is completely changing now.
And I like that you mentioned that and kind of giving us a good intro. Yes, yesterday we were focusing on Gen Zs, and a lot of times when we really talk about workspaces, we always focus on employees, and that's always that kind of aspect. When we talk even about designers, we focus on designers and young designers, but I had some discussion with business owners, and someone said, well, what about us? What about business owners? And we know that in this transformational workspaces that we're all experiencing, there's a lot of pressure on top management as well. So in today's topic, we really want to look at what do those top managers want? What that C-suite wants? And specifically in this region, we want to see how are they adapting to those changes. And obviously, we do want to look at luxury and opulence from their point of view as well, because obviously this is where money is always spent, right? So just maybe, Joachim, starting from you, and I know you work on a lot of design and build projects as well, so having those discussions with clients and the top management, what changes do you see in terms of what they want from their workspaces?
Yeah, 20 years ago, because we are here in the region since 20 years, when a client wanted luxurious office, opulent office, it was only about material, luxurious, thick carpets, beautiful veneer, wood, marbles everywhere. But with the time it has changed, because today luxurious is not about opulence. Today luxurious is about quality. Quality of the lighting, quality of the acoustic, quality of the well-being, the chairs, and this is and the clients, they understand this. They understand this and what they want to offer. So you can do an industrial type of design, but that has this opulence of luxe, but in terms of super material that are used for the comfort of the employees. Mm-hmm. Of course, the bespoke design is part of it, but you can have an open ceiling like this one, right? But the acoustic will not be good, so we inject special paint, that has absorbing the sound, and this is the cost. So this is the luxurious. The other thing in luxurious is about the space. You need space. And for me, personally, I think the luxurious office is an office that has lots of space. Ben, what he was talking about, all this collaboration space, this bumping space, when people are meeting each other. This is luxurious, because you have the space to offer that to the employees. But I don't think it's anymore about material and opulence, technology. Now it's technology or that. And the owners, the CEOs of these companies, they're okay with that. Even in the financial industry, the private equity firms, they want that. They want a nice office, cool office, we can say now, but with all the elements that bring the comfort to the employees, and that's luxurious.
Okay. I'm interested, maybe a question for you, because I know you're also based here. What do clients want? What's your take on that? When we talk about that senior leadership, do you see any shift and changes?
Marina, as you know, our idea is very focused on hospitality, so we often brought in where you want to blur the lines between workplace and hospitality. But as Joachim said, the requirement from clients to have a luxurious workspace from thick carpets to leather chairs is really changing, okay? We feel that clients now want a company that's built around their culture, okay, and is built around flexibility. Because with the people coming in now, almost 60-70% of the companies I work with, and even my office, everybody comes in and says, "Can I work from home?" So the footprint, your footprint required for the workplace is changing. So the first thing that we do, we go in. The clients generally don't come in and ask, "Give me a luxurious office," unless you're doing a wealth fund or a high-end bank headquarters or something like that. They focus more on, first of all, is that, can you build me something that reflects my company's culture? For them, that's luxurious to have. That's for them, it's about staff retention, it's about the image you would put out there, right? So our projects are, and I mean this is from hotels to workplace, it's really merging, Like there's a new breed of hotels coming out where you will go into a Rove hotel, the lobby's full of people working, You go in and people are sitting on the desk and they're working away like that. And workplace is almost the same, You have these huge collaborative lounges, we got people in the corner having a meeting, then you got people over here going into a little cubicle like that, right? So the only space that the owner really wants is a small office. We worked on a project many years ago, and the client's office was 15 square meters. But he had this huge hub of different ways of working, and for him that was a luxury office, So that footprint that he wanted the flexibility to bring his team into the project. So the need for luxury is moving away. Yes, there are clients who want luxury because it fits their symbol, but the workplace should really reflect their culture, the flexibility, and that's what clients are looking for us today.
Okay. Mansi, just going back to you, and I know you recently completed, it's an award-winning project, Ministry of Tourism, and obviously having those discussions locally with that senior leadership team, obviously they wanted a contextual design, but when it comes to their own spaces, what do they want from those spaces?
I think one thing that is important to note is that the concept of luxury and opulence has evolved. It's not the golds and the, as everybody else mentioned, these elements, right? When it comes to the senior executives and the high-ranking stakeholders, there is a very fine line between how transparent you can be and how exclusive you can be, right? So it's striking that balance that's quite important. And another thing that's really important is the fact that you have to almost know the individual as well, because they are spending a lot of time in that space, and it's almost home away from home. I mean, workplace has become that, right? We spend more time sometimes at the workplace, and even for senior executives, it's exactly like that. So it's understanding what they want, they need, whether it's having a private lounge or a private suite so that they can retire, they can pray, they can host, they can welcome, and then they have these individual settings where it's being able to go have a meeting with 20 people or being able to have a meeting with 10 people. Again, flexibility, collaboration, that is as important as having those beautiful panels. Subtlety has become more important when it comes to highlighting seniority sometimes, right? It is less is more. And I think that's becoming more and more apparent with the CEOs and the senior executives.
Similar to what Joachim was saying about the new definition of what opulence actually means. I'm going back to you and just what Mansi just said, and you also, I'm just looking at my notes, you also mentioned that when it comes to C-suites, it's just about giving that flexibility and also having those multifunctional areas where, so if you can just
Yes, I
elaborate on
think
that.
it's the space layout is a very crucial element when designing executive spaces or luxury spaces. It's more about practicality now. When you achieve a practical space with elegant materials, this would symbolize an executive office right now. Having spaces to collaborate, like having the executive desk with seamless technology to conduct whatever remote meetings that's nowadays work environment demands. Also having an informal meeting area within the executive space would break this segregation between executives and the rest of the company, and it would give a sense of transparency between the higher management and the other employees, where a lot of companies' cultures now require.
Talking about maybe not that top senior leadership team, but on a management level, and just now we had a presentation when they wanted to go 100% open plan, where there are no boundaries between employees and that kind of leadership senior team as well. Do you see that happening here as well when it comes to kind of reinventing what is the space allocation for the senior leadership?
Yes, definitely. Like corner offices right now becoming transparent offices with glass partitions, and more meeting rooms and collaborative spaces are becoming near to those secluded offices that used to be secluded. So yes, definitely. Even like we had this case when we designed Ernst & Young in Jeddah headquarters. It was a very important office to them back then in 2011 when we designed it, because it was going to be the biggest office in the region, and they asked us to have a sense of collaboration and openness, yet they wanted to maintain their advisors' positions within the layout. So yeah, the layout of the design, it was the starting point of applying this culture and maintaining the luxury of executive offices and higher ranking positions.
Joachim, from your side, do you see that evolution of corner office happening, and in what sense is happening?
No, the corner office will always be the CEO office.
Okay.
It will never change. That's a must. Honestly, with the latest project we've designed for very high top clients such as Richemont Cartier or private banks, we see still the corner office is still closed. slowly, maybe there is one panel of glass, you know, to see a little bit of transparency. But this I'm talking on the big brands. But we can see more and more the shift, you know, the open plan, yes, the layout, yes, the open. All the manager or director, they have much more cabins. Now, instead to put them on the facade, you know, before it was this, now there is a kind of democracy, a kind of communism. Let's share the best space with everyone. So basically now, what we realized, the latest project we design, all the managers or directors, they are inside the office, and we keep the open space on the facade, on the glass windows, you know, to maximize the light. And also to have not too much jealousy inside the office. So there is this shift that just came already a long time ago, but the corner office will remain a corner office.
And I like that you mentioned and used the terminology of democracy, right? We talk a lot about the LEED certified buildings here. We also mentioned a few times the well building standard that doesn't just look at a sustainable space, but it also looks at the people who are occupying. And that access to natural daylight is one of the first parameters of providing people with a well-certified office as well. Mansi, from your side, do you see any shifts in the layouts and space planning when it comes to the managerial staff?
Yes, 100%. I think the hierarchy and the pyramid it's not going to break down. It's never going to be a flat line. There is always going to be hierarchy. But I think transparency has become so important in the workplace, upwards to downwards and downwards to upwards, that the workspace layouts are also evolving that way. Yes, the corner office will still be the CEOs, the CFOs, etc., the C-suite. But I think it's the number of ante-rooms and the layers of getting to that room that have started to break down. I think the fact that you have more collaboration, more meetings right outside as opposed to waiting lobby. Another majlis like room 1, room 2, room 3. Yes, that may exist, but it is starting to evolve, and that also allows for the teams to come in closer to that top of the pyramid, right? To work together, to collaborate more, and of course, we all know natural light is important. Open offices are important, right? So it's manifesting itself from a plan to a vision, into the brand, into the culture as well.
Okay, thank you. It's just that you mentioned about those hospitality inputs, and obviously as a studio you work on both hospitality and workspaces. As you said about that kind of breaking down those barriers, and do you feel that that's a way forward to make those managerials a bit more approachable when it comes to your regular staff and employees?
Yeah, Marina, look, we do architecture as well as interiors. So I've had the benefit of working in the UK with British Council of Offices. I remember in the 80s, there was a term used, it was called fishbowl. So it was like all the management around by the windows and all the employees in the middle. So you're like a goldfish looking out of glass windows, double glass windows. And then those managers realized that our success depends on the people sitting in the middle. And suddenly they were the most important people and they should get the most daylight. So the principles have changed, where the people are sitting in the corner office, they're now realizing that actually, our people are the most important resource for us, right? So the layout's becoming inverted, You tend to take your offices and put them maybe on the top layer, depending how the company works. We've got projects, for example, where it all depends on where the company's evolution is, right? We worked with Imar at the end of the last recession, and Chairman Alabar came in and he said, I want every single thing open plan. He wouldn't allow us a single office. We said, listen, HR needs an office. If they need to bring somebody in and tell somebody off, they need an office. So he gave us 4 directors' offices with no doors. I mean, if you look at Imar Square today, it's changed a lot, but that's how extreme he went. Because what happens is that every time the company went through this wave of recession, it had layers of people who left the company, and literally the corridors were littered with paperwork and nobody knew whose paperwork it was. So you kind of press refresh, We have had companies which are family offices, and then they come along and the new generation comes along, they don't want an office. The young people don't want to be sitting 9 to 6 o'clock in the office. We made clubhouses for them on the top floor. They literally come in, they've got majlises, snooker rooms, they've got sleeping rooms. They come in and they spend the whole day there, but the way to keep them in the office not working. They go there and they enjoy themselves. They'll bring their friends, have meetings in the majlises. They don't want to work from 9 to 6 o'clock. So it all depends for us where the evolution of the company is and how the response to that evolution the company wants to make. And what we're saying, the progress is that the leaders or the owners are realizing that the people are assets. They're the ones who deserve the good spaces, and that's why you're coming up with spaces where you've got almost business lounges for them to work from. No longer you have these huge linear offices and things like that. It's completely changing, and that's where the investment is being made the most. And I think those people are successful when they do that.
Okay, thank you. And just going back to managers, and obviously, when we look at the workforce today and when we work workspaces today, we have a multi-generational workspace. We have anyone from baby boomers to Gen Zs as well, and understanding those dynamics of how people work, and there is a lot of pressures on managers as well. So I just wanted to just pick your brains about when it comes to, obviously this is a workspace summit, we're surrounded with a lot of furniture manufacturers, and how do you see that evolution happening as well? Joachim, you mentioned there's evolution in terms of materiality and what's being used, but in terms of ergonomics, they also do spend a lot of time in offices, if not even the most. How do you see those ergonomics evolving as well? Before it was just, cherry wood executive desks, but are we moving towards a sit-stand desks? Ergonomics, is it becoming an important part of discussion for that?
No, ergonomics is very important, of course. Now with the tables, I was in English,
sit-stand.
This table now, it's a must. Everybody wants it, but when they see the price, they say, okay. we give only for a few people. But that's very important. Ergonomic also is not only about the comfort. Yes, of course, the furniture, and beautiful chairs we need for our office because we need new office. But the ergonomic is something very important. So we can see in our office, for example, we have some chairs since more than 10, 12 years. People are not comfortable with it. So now we have to invest. And the is investing in well-being, is investing on the people, The ergonomic is also part of the collaboration spaces, for example. It's not only lounge, sitting chairs like this. It's about, cafeteria. A cafeteria chair is just very simple, very, what we've done, maybe it was like 10, 12 years ago for a big project for Property Finder. And what they wanted is to create a big pantry. It was maybe 30% of the office space, which was big, it was huge to do that. It was and basically now this space is we did some other project for them, pantry increase. This space now is the most used in the office because people, they are colliding there, they're meeting there, and they go to meet there. So they just meet in a simple chair, nice, cool chair, but nothing ergonomic. But just for me, the luxury is to have this kind of space, like just a table, coffee table, simple chairs around it, and people that will meet there instead to meet in a meeting room that is boring, the four walls or four glasses, and it's cold. There they can meet and collaborate. So for me, the ergonomic, yes, but also you can have something that's not at all ergonomic, but just the surrounding, the environment will help for the collaboration.
Ayman, from your side, do you see that evolution when it comes to executive spaces?
Yes, definitely. Especially in executive spaces, it used to be all formal furniture with, like you mentioned, the cherry veneer tables. Now it's very important to create a comfortable seating within the executive space for informal meeting, sometimes for brainstorming, or like you said, inviting friends who are potentially clients to discuss business. So yeah, definitely having special furniture that we did not used to see before is definitely a thing right now.
Mansi, from your side, that ergonomic top executive chair, do you see the evolution in what's happening?
Absolutely. I think everybody's more conscious of health. Everybody's prioritizing it. Work-life balance or work-life harmony, however we want to call it, that's becoming important. And whether it's the chair, where it's a beautiful leather chair, it looks stunning, but can I sit in it for hours? Or it's a beautiful desk, but does it go up and down? Do I have the flexibility of making it stand? We are noticing that a lot of the senior executives we're doing bespoke executive tables because we want them to have the flexibility to sit, stand. Quite recently, we're just choosing furniture for one of the offices, and there were these beautiful leather chairs, and then they were like, oh, but I can't lean back. You know, I'm sitting in a conference chair for a really long time, having really long conference calls, but I want to be able to stretch. I want to be able to sit in it for a lot longer. So we went for something that was more comfortable. So I think comfort is luxury, especially in today's day and age, and that's becoming the focus. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Shahzad from Misr.
Hi, thank you. So we believe actually luxury spaces are shrinking. Okay, if you go back 10, 15 years, you know, you would have a huge office of at least 50, 60 square meters for an executive. That same space is down to 25 square meters, and that executive is very happy. What executives want now is they want to make their life easy. And I'll use myself as an example. I have an office, you know, reasonable size, and recently I just gave the go-ahead to half the size of the office and to turn the other part of the office into a collaboration hub. You know, one of these board TVs, Huawei TVs, because we have like 4 global offices, and the amount of time I spend now online coordinating, right? So I am, as the owner of the business, I want to make my life easy, and I want to create a space where my team can come into and then make the process easier, right? And all the leaders are now so focused on that part there. The requirement for having these big luxury offices is really moving away. You know, as you said, the requirement is normal and work-life balance. So what's good for my well-being? My well-being is I don't get stressed when I walk to work, because sometimes you get to work, it's like a doctor's surgery, right? People are waiting, they want to see you, but to bring them in on your desk and sit with them is very difficult, right? So I want to go into a big boardroom TV and okay, let's put your drawing up, I will sketch my ideas, email it to you directly, and that moves forward. So for all the leaders now, it's about that flexibility of how I can do my job better. And I think you also have to understand, in terms of where we are today, we did a really interesting project for a hotel, and the whole idea was built around rejection of luxury, because what I perceive to be luxury, a Gen Z does not understand as luxury. So thick carpets, fur, gold, leather, they don't do that. For them, the experience is luxurious. The textiles, you know, or the renewable, you know, items for it, they're the luxury elements, because they're so much more focused on the experience part than the luxury part. So if we as business owners don't attune themselves to that, we're not going to be able to retain those staff. You know, have you ever interviewed a Gen Z? The third question they ask you, what will you do for me? You know, I'm like, I asked that question of my boss after 5 years working for him, 9 to like 10 o'clock every single day, you know. The first thing they ask for you, if I come and work for you, what will you do for me? So if you've got a generation that's going to ask you that at the interview stage, what are they going to do when they come to your workplace? You know? So it's really important that the leaders now understand what we're up against, what we're working for. And honestly, it's our fault, right? I have children. I never tell my child off the way my mom told me off. Okay? She would clip me around the head, you know, if I did something wrong. I don't promote violence, so I will never do that to my children, right? So you never tell them they failed. They're always successful. So when they go into a workplace, they've always been told you've done well. Like in England, when I came from, A, B, C was a pass. You get a D, E, F, you're a pass. Sorry, in the old system, I'm old, a C was, if you didn't get a C, you'd fail, right? So the system, the education system is saying, you've passed, well done, you're doing really well. Then you get into a workplace and we said, sorry mate, you don't work very well. You're not performing. So I think it's really important that leaders are attuned to that requirement that we're working with, because otherwise we're going to have a headache, you know, coming on our hands. And I'm a prime example. I've half my office and made half of it into a collaboration hub, because that makes my life easy, you know.
And you have one Gen Z director in the audience
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well.
Brilliant one. She can wait.
We just had a discussion yesterday on the topic as well. But I like what you said about it. Yeah. Welcome to the age of soft parenting as well, right? So off the topic, but it is important to understand as well, because I think that's where those boundaries of how you collaborate, how you come across as well. And I think for design studios a bit different, right? So Joaquin, what's your situation? I know, you know, always they say shoemaker always has the worst shoes, and it's sometimes your offices comes last, right? So tell me about your office. And I know his office.
No, the
pass the
office
mic.
is,
I think you should pass the mic.
no, the office is a super design. There is really cool design. What, almost 10 years, 8 years ago, and still is fresh. But the furniture, yes, we had to change. We created more collaboration spaces, that was not anticipated before. That was good, because I was thinking to reduce the size of my office. That's the corner office, by the way. It's a very nice office, good coffee machine. But the size, I think it's a bit too big. So now what we've done, we put some lounge chairs inside, like 2-3 lounge chairs, and people are using it. Even if I'm inside the office, people are coming, they can I disturb you? Yeah, no problem, go ahead, and they talk and we have the meeting there. So that's because having a big office doesn't mean nothing. It doesn't serve unless you have a big ego and yes, then do it.
Okay. Anyone else to share example? Mansi, how's your office looking like?
Stuart has the smallest room. And we kick him out of it because we need that space because we're running out of meeting room space. And he's very gracious. And he always steps out and lets us use his room. But I think in our studio, we are actually craving for more meeting space. So we are in the process of creating those because everybody has meetings and we're all very loud, passionate individuals in our studio. So yeah, I think sometimes clients hear someone else's meetings because there are so many of them. But yeah, all the closed spaces get used. Acoustics is really important, and that's what we are focusing on.
Okay, thank you so much.
I'll just say that what you just said about closed spaces is funny because Lene is sitting there, right? And she's example of Gen Z. The number of times she complains the office is too loud, So she wants to go into a closed room just to focus. So sometimes we forget that open plan office is not for everyone. And some younger people, I've literally bought her like expensive headphones to put on her head because it doesn't work, Shaz. It doesn't work. So they want closed spaces to go and just focus. I think I have to buy one of those pods for her today, when I go around the exhibition.
Okay, thank you so much. I am just mindful of time in our next presentation, so I would like to open up a floor to our audience. You can ask questions or share your insights when it comes to, especially managerial offices and any insights that you want to share with us or ask our panelists. So I want to see if I have some questions. Here is one question. Yes, go ahead, Karina. Put him on a spot.
When I came to the region, I was a bit impressed how still the office space reflects the hierarchy. How Mansi was discussing. How you guys, as the designers that are leading the project, bring this connection or disconnecting the hierarchy and power and the structure of the company with the actual physical space, right? Because I believe that this is already going away, but I still feel resistance from our clients. So what is your pitch for them regarding this connection to break it?
Okay.
So for us, you're 100% right. That there is a big challenge in sometimes when we have those stakeholder meetings of explaining to some leaders that you need to be in direct contact with your staff. Look, the only way younger people are going to learn when they rub shoulders with the older people in the office, right? So in our designs we try to create as much collaborative environments as possible. Okay, a few years ago we did like a bank headquarters, and the bank had this notion that they don't want you to come to the branch. Everything is digital, okay? But the MD of that bank wanted to sit right in the middle of the open plan office, right? Because he wanted to be part of the team, understand how that bank runs, okay? But then we've done private banks, and they don't want to see anybody. They want to be in the ivory tower, They want to sit at the top. So I think it really depends on the organization, but if you can go and sit with your clients and educate them and tell them the benefits of being with your people, they really start buying into it. And I think the biggest transformation you've seen, for example, in the region here, is like, empowering the female staff in the Middle East now. It's like a 380-degree, like turnaround. I mean, we used to have design offices, and there would be like a closed area for ladies to go and sit, and nobody would be allowed to go in there. And honestly, the spaces were not nice. They were just like an afterthought. But now they're part of the organization and they're part of the team. Okay, So I think that part of the whole journey that the workplace has gone through, especially in the region, is really unbelievable. And the leaders now are really forward thinking. You will get some older people who are more entrenched in their views and everything else. But as those companies evolve and the new generations are coming in, they will buy into our ideas. Because obviously, we will come along and we want a collaborative space. We want to have spaces that they can collaborate with their staff.
Okay. Anyone else? Anything to add on the topic? Okay. Do we have some more questions? One more question. Yes, go ahead.
Thank you. First of all, stellar lineup. Loved every minute of this conversation. So you mentioned earlier about Gen Z and they're the executives, but within the open plan, there are people of all ages, right? And preferences. As a designer, we face a challenge sometimes whether we do open office and everybody likes it, or you think you do focus space and then most people will stay in the collaborative spaces. But both actually don't work as a 100% space, right? For a collaborative space might not be the best focus space. You can't put a desk there and start working. Right? So how would you, for example, advise a client to find a balance, right? Because for example, lighting is now age specific. Older people need higher lighting levels than younger people. Same for workspaces, ergonomics, sit and stand desks are more popular in a certain age group, but not, for example, in the senior management age group. So how would any of you, for example, advise a client to find that right balance between open and closed, focused and collaborative and all of that?
Okay. Yes, I'm going to go ahead.
Yeah, I think in terms, are you, your question, do you mean how do you differentiate between luxurious spaces, like how do you symbolize an executive area while still maintaining an openness between the higher management and employees?
Yes.
Yeah, no, what I meant was, when you talk about luxury spaces, you said that it's not about the materials, it's not about any of that, it's actually about the space itself. The quality of being in that space is the luxury, right? But again, like you said, you've designed an open office and then somebody doesn't like to work there, right? But you've set that luxury for a certain group of people. And then there's 5 who don't like it at all. So how do you find that balance where you said this is now for an organization, I've given everybody some kind of luxury, right? So how would you kind of balance that?
In no industry, especially ours, everybody will be happy, right? And I think it's creating zones and creating moments and creating opportunities where everybody has a piece of their experience, whether it's zoning out, whether it's sitting in that loud open office, whether it's taking up an entire meeting room and locking it up and using it, or getting into a phone booth, right? It's about finding, doing the baseline of everybody fits, and then you creating, carving out space to create your phone booths, to create your collaboration, to create your focus pods, and all of that. So I think it's being creative while using the architecture itself and being smart about the interior architecture to carve out that experience for everybody.
Look, the best way to go to your client and convince them is tell them I'm going to save you money. Number one way is I'll save you money, right? So we in particular will do questionnaires and studies. I mean, for example, Microsoft did a study back in the 80s and they realized 64% of the managers don't use their offices. 64% back in the 80s, right? And then that's when you get the Google offices, the turnaround, everything in terms of what they did, right? So we did an office for EY a while ago, right? And they wanted every single person to have a hot desk. They don't have a desk, except the 2 partners. So literally, the person who arrived early would get the best seat in the house, right? They just had lockers. And I thought, this is not going to work. But it took about 3 months for them to just set themselves up properly, and it all worked. People would come in, some people would be sitting on a sofa, some people were sitting at a desk, but they all had lockers only, right? It gave people complete freedom. They could go and sit in an office, they could go and sit anywhere. Except the 2 partners, nobody had fixed desks. But that really worked for that organization, So I think, it goes back to the organization and us as designers creating as much flexibility in that design as possible. But generally, if we can go to a client and say, I can shrink your footprint, he'll buy into your idea. Right.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So I'm just mindful of time. Maybe I can take one more quick question. Do we have one more question? Okay, no. In that case, I would like to give a big round of applause for our panelists. Thank you so much for joining today's discussion.